Hey, it's Cornelia, and you are listening to the I Have No Clue podcast. And you chose to make the time to listen to this podcast to learn something new and improve your life and your business. And I think that's awesome. And I'm honored you're here. Is this your first time listening? Welcome to the I Have No Clue podcast family. Let's get started on today's topic about time. And yeah, as we dive in, I've got a story to tell. I was on vacation. I think that was the first time in 4 years maybe that I actually took a vacation longer than maybe 4 days. And I decided I needed to let go of everything business related to do just nothing. Don't show up on social media. Don't do anything. Don't read your email. Delete your mail app from your phone. Don't look at it at all. I didn't delete it, but I didn't look at it either. And I don't know about you, but on vacation, I usually read a lot. And as I'm also a personal growth junkie, I think that would be the right description of me, is that I reread The Big Leap. It's a book written by Gay Hendricks, and it's about the upper limit problem, the upper working in your zone of genius. And at the very, very last chapter, he's talking about how we experience time and how we're dealing with time. And that was the moment it sunk in. I made a whole course about productivity, and I used this concept, just not in the terms that he is describing it. And I thought, wow, this is interesting. This is an interesting way to look at time. How can I apply this to my own life? What will I do different from now on? Now I know this exact thing, how he looks at time, and how I connected it immediately to some of the neuro-linguistic programming theory that I know as a neuro-linguistic programming trainer. And for those of you who don't know what neuro-linguistic programming is, in short, it's NLP. It's practical psychology, communication with yourself, with the people around you. And I'm a certified trainer in that internationally. And I thought, this is super interesting. I think I gotta share this with you guys. So that's how I came up with today's topic. And have you noticed how often we use the words, I don't have time. I don't have time to listen right now. I'm sorry. I gotta run. I gotta go. I don't have time for this. Or that you're waiting in line somewhere and that you think, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. Please hurry up now. I don't have time for this. Or that you're looking at your list of stuff that you need to do for your business and you feel like you don't have the time to do all of that. And you just feel hurried throughout the whole day. It's either that you don't have enough time to do what you want to do, or that you're bored and you need to kill the time. I usually experience that in the evening when I've done everything I needed to do and I'm like, another 2 hours before I can reasonably go to my bed. And I really feel like I'm waiting to the moment that I can socially acceptable go to my bed. At least that's how it used to be. And it's such a shame. And I don't know, how about you? Do you have times where you're like so bored and you feel like you need to kill the time waiting? Or that you're just like, I don't have the time. I can't do this. It's not going to happen. Because how do you feel when you say, I don't have time? What happens in your body? If I'm looking at me, I don't have the time. I feel rushed. I feel like my belly is a little bit tight and I'm like everything is a little bit on tension. I don't have the time. I'm literally like, I don't know, having the tension in my arms when I say it. I don't have time. It feels tight. It feels like there's not a lot of room to move. Whereas if I would say I make time, that usually means I prioritize something. When somebody asks me for help, my phrase throughout, I think the whole of my whole life is, I'm gonna make time for that. Yes, of course I'm gonna help you with that. I will make the time. And it feels so different. We say, I make time. It feels relaxed. It feels like I have a priority. I'm just gonna move everything else aside. It's not gonna matter. I will make the time. And the thing is, in our culture, that's not how it is. In the Western society, time is something we are a victim of. Time is something that happens to you. And time is something we generally don't have a lot of. At least that's how we feel like. And when you think about this and the time and that you feel hurried, especially when you have long, long lists to do and people calling you with questions and you have to answer them and teammates having questions, how does it make you feel? How does it affect the way that you work? How little do you get done when you have to hop from different tasks because everything else is more urgent and you don't have the time for everything, so you're just gonna run like a chicken without a head on. That's a Dutch phrase. I'm not sure if that translates to English, but hey, if you're just like running around like a crazy person because you gotta get stuff done, and do you actually get stuff done? Because I know what that feels like for me, and it's usually not a productive day at all. It's usually the least productive days. The most productive days for me are the days where I'm just lost in my work, don't have a sense of time anymore. I'm just completely dived in and doing my thing. Those are the days that I don't feel stress, that I feel happy all the time. Well, at least focused all the time, and I have a general relaxed flow of doing stuff in the flow, which is an awesome kind of feeling. Then I don't have the feeling that I need to rush stuff and stuff like that. Yeah, then I don't have the need to rush things, and I'm just doing stuff, and just event after event. I need to record a podcast, I need to make content, I need to read my email. That's just the order. I don't necessarily look at the time on those kind of days, and I just do it. And it feels so relaxed, and I actually usually get everything done if I do it that way. So as I read this book again, I realized that I do a lot of stuff very rushed, and I also usually feel I don't have enough time to do the stuff that I want, and then I don't do it at all, which is not a very productive way of going throughout the day. So I decided to start experimenting with something new, with a new way of looking at time, and I decided to make the time. Every time I feel rushed, I'm making time. And this guy from Gay Hendricks from The Big Leap describes this as you are the source of time. That's not necessarily how I look at it, but let's dive into the theory behind this, and I'll explain to you exactly what I'm talking about. Taking ownership of your time experience. Because the day will just be the day. The sun will go up, it will go down, and it will repeat tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. And that is what we call time in general. Like the time, we measure that in seconds, in minutes, in hours. And there's 24 hours in one day, and it's just the same every single day. But how you experience time, that is something you can actually take ownership in. And this guy from The Big Leap calls it Einstein time. I've also read books where people call it event time. And I look at it in the following way. You have in Neuro-Linguistic Programming, we have a model that is called cause and effect. And to explain this, I want you to imagine that your life, your business, everything that you encounter in life, that's a bus. And this bus is driving. It is going places, it might be standing still, it might encounter some, I don't know, roadblocks, broken bridges, wow. And you are on that bus. But where are you sitting in that bus? Are you sitting behind the driver's wheel? And are you deciding on how to deal with the fact that there is, I don't know, river and you can't go through, or there is or the direction that you want to go in because you want to go to mountain A instead of mountain B? Or are you just sitting somewhere in the bus, not behind the steering wheel, but usually more in the back, and you'll just see where the bus is going? These are two ways that you can live your life and can deal with situations. When you're sitting you're driving the bus as the bus driver of your life, then you're on the side of the cause. You're deciding, you take ownership. And when you're in the back of the bus, you're just sitting there and seeing where you're going and waving to the other buses that come by and, I don't know, just going with the bus. That means you're on the effect side. And it's usually you can also see it as you are the victim. You are the victim of everything that happens in your life. The bus is not going to Mountain A. Oh, I'm so sad. This is not happening for me because I cannot do this. Blah, 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 blah. All kinds of excuses. But overall, you're not driving the bus. So the bus just decided to go to Mountain B or C or D, but definitely not to Mountain A. So that's what we call cause and effect. And as entrepreneur, but I don't know, I think that accounts for every person, but still as an entrepreneur, this is extra, extra, extra important. You decide. If you run your business and the numbers, the statistics, whatever, are not as you want them to, then you can be sad and say, oh, this is not happening. The algorithm is not working for blah, 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 blah. Or you can say, we don't have the skills yet to make sure that this is growing. Those are two completely different things. But we can also apply this to time. You can take ownership of how you deal with time. So let's start with the victim side of time. Then you have to think about phrases like, I don't have time, we're killing time. Where did the time go? I wish I had time. But, well, yeah, there simply aren't enough hours in the day. I just wish it were like 36 hours instead of 24. I love to talk, but I gotta run. I don't have time for this. And I think I use those phrases. I'm pretty sure I use those phrases all the damn time. But now you know that this is the victim side. And if you want to go to the cause side and take ownership and drive the bus, then it's about the next phrase. I make time. I don't make time because it's not a priority. I'm making time right now to record this podcast for you. I'm making time to create content for everybody to learn and grow and improve their business and their life. I don't make time for reading a book right now. Instead of going to activities that I usually do when I procrastinate, is like reading books or watching Netflix or something like that, I choose to not make time for that right now because it's not a priority. Let me have a look about all the other things that I wanted to tell you about this. Yeah. It's also about making time and not finding time. You make the time to do it. You're not going to find it somewhere hidden around a corner or something like that. And that's not what it is. Once you change your vocabulary, once you use different words about time, and you will start to notice that, 99% of the people around you are a victim of time, it will help you because you will feel more in control. You feel taking ownership helps you to feel safe, to feel relaxed, to feel like you can actually do something about it. We need that kind of, as humans, we need that kind of feeling in our lives. We want to be free. We want to have the autonomy to do, the authority to do stuff and take ownership of ourselves and what we do in our lives. We want to feel the freedom to do that. So once you notice how time pressure feels in your body, like the I don't have the time, what does that do to you? How do you feel? What happens in your body? What do you feel in your belly? What do you feel in your legs? What do you feel in your heartbeat? How's your breath? And how does boredom feel in your body? That's also a sensation that has to do with the victim part of time. How does that feel? How does it feel when you're bored? And then how does it feel when you're here? When you're making time, when you take the ownership to say, I'm going to do this, I will make the time for this. Or I will not make the time for this. I will not make the time to look at my phone. I will not make the time to look at my email 10 times throughout the day. I will not make time to be disturbed. I will make the time to do the things that are the most important for my business. So let's get started on how can you actually apply this in your life, because it starts with what I just said. With tip number 1, start saying I make time or I'm not prioritizing that right now. And the latter is hard. It can be very hard to say no and not blame it on time. I don't have time for that right now. It's super, super easy. And this is about your own mindset. How do you think about time? How do you want to experience time? Because if you can say no in a way that you take ownership of time, that will help you to do the things that you actually make time for. It's a mindset shift that will help you to look at time in a different way. And I think it's even harder to say, to me, it would be harder to say no. I'm not prioritizing that right now. And easier to say, I make time for this. I practiced that the last week. And that was easy. The saying no part, now I starting running my business back from vacation and stuff. That's a little bit harder, but I do have another tip for this. Let's tell you right now how many tips I actually do have for you. I think it's about 5. And the second one is how to say no. And this is what I usually do when it's hard to say no. I usually feel that in my body, like, feels a little bit tight. I kind of don't want to do it. But that is the moment that I take a deep breath and I start composing the answer, because usually this is on WhatsApp or, I don't know, communication in words. Sometimes I send an audio message. It's the easier place to start practicing with saying no in a nice kind of way. And this is how I usually do it. At this moment, I'm prioritizing my online courses in my business. So even though I like your proposition and really liked the connection I had with the people that I talked to, it is not in line with my current priority. And that's why I will not do your proposition. And it can be anything from I will not make the time to go on a call with you. I will not make time to drink coffee with you. I will not make time to promote your product for you. So tip number 2 is how to say no, because that is hard. You don't want to be offensive. That's a way that you can say no. In the way that you explain it, hey, this is nice, but I cannot do it because this and this and this. It is not a priority right now for me. My goals and dreams, the place where you're the most easily in the flow, your A-game activities, you should prioritizing that. If it's not in line with that, you can say no and explaining the fact that it's not in line with your priorities right now, and that even though the people are very nice, that the proposition is great, that is just not something for you right now. So that's how you can say no. The third tip is about dealing with this change. How do you actually change your vocabulary from I don't have the time to I will make time? And what I do right now, because I'm in the middle of changing this, is I stop for a minute. I notice what I'm thinking. I don't have time. I take a deep breath and I create something that's called inhibition. So before acting on it, before saying it out loud, I'll just take 3 seconds. 3 seconds to choose different words. I don't have time. I have just 30 minutes for making an online post. And instead of I'm just having, you heard that right? I said I'm making 30 minutes. That is what I'm working towards too. That is my automated vocabulary. But instead of saying I just have 30 minutes for this task. I just have 30 minutes to record this podcast. I just have 30 minutes to read my email. I just have 30 minutes. And it's not enough. That's basically the feeling that you're getting when you're saying something like that. And I'm making it a little bit bigger right now to emphasize what it does with you. And the second you notice, this is what I'm thinking, this is how I'm dealing with it, take a deep breath, change the words. I make 30 minutes for this task. I make 30 minutes to record a podcast, to make content, to read my email, to make an online course, blah, 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 blah. And it is because time is not, you cannot have time. You cannot put it in a container. You cannot hold it. You cannot have it in a box. You cannot save it for later. That is also why I think that waiting for your retirement to do nice stuff in your life is fucking stupid. Because who says you're still alive? Who says time is still there? You cannot save it for later and do the nice stuff later and the hard stuff now. You gotta mix it up, Because time is just the days that you're alive on this planet, on this earth, and that's an honor. It's something that we gotta cherish. And you cannot hold it. It's not like money. It's not, wood or something like that you can save for later and you can grasp onto it, you can hold it. That is just, it's not the case. The only thing you can do is change your experience with time and prioritize what you want to do, where you will make time for. Yeah, take a second. When you notice that you're thinking something limiting things about time and not the abundancy of it, because you can make the time for anything in your life. The tip number 4 is, oh man, how do you do this? Prioritizing your stuff. And this one is coming right out of my online course about productivity. It's called Unstoppable Productivity in 4 Days. And it's something I do on a daily basis. You start your day with the things that are the most important to you. You make time for the things that are most important to you, to your business. Like making time to eat my breakfast is very, very important to me. So that's come first. Making time to walk the dog is also something that's gonna come first, because this block of things in the morning, right after I get out of bed, that is the time, the moment that I prioritize, that I make time to start my day right. I make the time to start my day. And after that, when the moment that I start working, I make time for the things that are most important. And that is not reading my email. That is usually almost every day doing something creative. I don't take appointments in the morning. Why not? Because when I make time for appointments, I am drained afterwards and there's not energy left to do the creative activities that I need to do that are important for my business. So I'm always making time for 2 hours of focus in the morning, because that's the most important thing in my business. Then I've got tip number 5. And tip number 5 is actually more to do with the cause and effect model from Neuro-Linguistic Programming than just time. Because it's not only about time. Stuff happens in your life. And time is there. The place where you live is there. The sun comes up, the sun goes down. Stuff happens. People are annoying you. I don't know. You got clients that are not happy, for instance, or you are not making enough money with your business to live your life from. Stuff happens. Bad stuff happens. You get an invoice that you weren't expecting that was much higher than you actually thought it would be. Being in charge, driving the bus of your life, of your business, is about how you deal with the circumstances. The internet that doesn't work, having a hard time showing up for making content, clients that don't respond, not growing on Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is that is popular right now when you're listening to this. It is how you deal with it. You choose. So when I'm not growing on Instagram and TikTok, or whatever platform I'm choosing to put my content on, it's because I don't have enough skills yet. It's usually not the algorithm. It is because I need to grow and improve my content and improve my marketing skills, so to say, to make sure that I actually reach people. And then when you reach people, that they're actually watching and listening and reading and interacting with it, engaging with it. That is what I need to do to improve it. Just like I'm choosing to make time to learn that, because that's how you take ownership. So when you do that, when you make the time and prioritize, it means your day probably won't be directed as much by your email notifications, by sudden client requests, by everything that's happening ad hoc in your business that is very urgent, usually not important. If it's urgent and important, then you gotta figure out why it's urgent suddenly, because important stuff always needs to be done first, if you ask me. I have many more tips on this about how you can improve your day and your productivity, and how you can make sure that you are working with event time. That's because that's how I like to look at it. I'm just doing this task first, and then I'm going to do that task. I have more tips and tricks for that in Unstoppable Productivity in 4 days. You can sign up online and start right away in the course. Then you might start to notice when you start doing this and making more time for important projects and dealing that deadlines and commitments in your business are going to be a different experience. That you make more time for the things that are more important to you, and that you can finish them in a way that you feel at least less stressed about it, way more relaxed. That's really nice if it also changes your experience with deadlines. And another thing you might start to notice is how the victimization of time, I don't have the time, I need to find time, I don't have time for this, all these kind of phrases are ingrained in our Western culture. The concept of taking ownership of how you experience time is super easy. The execution, however, takes dedication. And that's with everything that you learn, that you want to change in your life. Your surroundings may push back. People are like, oh, you are doing it like that right now, you're making time, then you gotta make time for me and help me. People will not change the wordings of time while you are. And that might be very confronting and might make it hard to continue to push on and at not giving up. But with every single thing that you're learning, and I will make a podcast about this someday, I think, is that learning takes time, and you will get confronted with the fact that you are not good at it yet. That you are suddenly using phrases like, I need to find the time. Oh shit, no, I'm gonna make time, or I'm not gonna make time for this. It is about persisting. It's about practicing over and over again, because every time it's not going as it should, that is an extra opportunity to learn and improve yourself. Practice, you will get better at it. Giving up, my friend, is the only thing that you shouldn't do. And that's about everything that you learn. The last thing that I wanted to say to you today is, who doesn't want more focus and a more powerful feeling in their life? You can do it by taking ownership of your time. You took ownership of making the time for listening to this episode of the I Have No Clue, the podcast by me, Cornelia van Kranenburg. And if you need more tips and tricks about productivity and dealing with time, make sure to check out the show notes for the link to the online course. I'm very honored that you're here today, and let me be the one to tell you that I believe in you. I believe that you can grow your business and learn to deal with time in a better way that makes you have more focus and more powerful feeling. So together we can change the world. See you next time.